Yeah.
She is in a position where you have the ability to get out of here. You don't know, you just stumbled upon a war between the wolves and the Seraphite people, the Scar people. You have help here that has come and has already saved you. And you're telling me you're gonna go to try to save a Seraphite child that you don't know? 1 against 6?
What the metric is, like, I need to know, like, because if you see a group of people, like a large group of people talking about a show and it has a cult following, how do you determine, okay, even though it has this following, it's not successful enough for it to, for us to continue? What's going on, family? Welcome back to the Cinema Goodness Podcast. I'm Kaheem, and this is JP. What's going on, JP?
Man, I'm glad to be here. Happy Memorial Day, and we salute all of those that have paid the ultimate price. So I'm definitely happy to be here and thankful for all of those people who sacrificed for us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Speaking of the ultimate price, these two projects that we talking about feel like they paid the ultimate price in different ways. We're going to be talking about the last episode of The Last of Us, and we're going to end things off with Final Destination, Bloodlines. Very exciting film. That was real dope. I can't wait to get into it. So sit back, relax, grab some popcorn. Let's get into the cinema goodness. All right, man. So here we are, season finale, The Last of Us. And for me, my worry, my fear came true. I walked away dissatisfied, unsatisfied. And yeah, man, I was just, so one thing we have to correct is we said homeboy's name was Isaiah last time.
We did, and it's Isaac.
Isaac, yeah, it's Isaac.
We got that wrong. My bad.
I didn't correct you. I didn't know. So that shows how disconnected we are from the characters. I'm just putting it out there. So Ellie finds her way back to the people, Jesse and Dina, after her situation with Nora. And when she gets there, she has this conversation with Dina about, what happened between Joel and the Fireflies, and it kind of gives her context as to why Joel is dead, basically. Mm-hmm. And, at that point, I guess Dina figures out that the story is much bigger than that she knew, and she ultimately made a dumb decision. And for me, man, like I said, at this point, the relationship is not something that I feel that can stick. The situation with Jesse, which we'll get to, was crazy because he had the best of intentions, but it didn't work out for him. And I don't know, man. It was rough to watch. What did you think about the season finale, man?
Everything that we've been talking about is what has happened. The show, me being honest, and this is me skipping to the very end, the way the episode ends, at this point, I am more interested in what's happening with the wolves versus the, we've been calling them the Scars, but I think they have another name that they go by, the Seraphites, I believe is the name that they go by. But
I heard something about that.
Yeah, I'm more interested in what's going on with them than what's going on with Ellie and Dina. Because it's at this point, that story is so hollowed out, and the characters are making, well, let me say this. You made a very good point, because I feel like Dina understands that she made the decision to help Ellie under false pretenses, because when she finds out what's really going on, her first response is, "We need to go home."
Yeah.
Which makes a whole lot of sense, because now that you realize that this is, essentially what happened with Joel was a retaliation for him literally killing a hospital full of people to
Right.
save Ellie. Which and we didn't know, because originally they even hid that from the audience. In the beginning of this season, we could see that there was animosity between Joel and Ellie, but we did not know why. We didn't know whether he had told her what he'd done. But we find all of that out in episode 6 when we do all the flashbacks with Joel. Or 5 or 6, one of those two. But what we end up finding out is, and I believe what Dina finds out in that moment, is she's made a mistake, because she's literally risking her life for nothing at this point, because there's no point in trying to go after these people when the reason they came after Joel is because of what he did, and they probably were right in doing so. They had a justified reason. I mean, if we're going to say that Ellie has a justified reason to try to get revenge, then they had that same reason to get revenge on Joel.
Right.
And in an unprovoked way, I'll say, even though I'm still, Joel was still the best character on the show, because of the type of person he wasn't going to just let one person, he wasn't just going to go in and kill one person and save Ellie. So he ended up killing everybody. And then, so essentially the retribution comes down on him individually. But I say all of that to say, because the character decisions of Ellie especially are so, I think the best word I can say is baseless. It doesn't even make sense, the decisions she's making. Even in this last episode, I found myself looking at the screen going, I can't believe that they wrote her to be this dumb. And that's the only thing I can think of. I understand characters have flaws. No character is perfect. But when I was in preparation for our, talking about this, I was thinking about Ellie. Ellie's in her young 20s, maybe 2021. Ellie has grown up her entire life, her little entire life. She was born into the zombie apocalypse. So she's not one of the people who had to adjust from life before. That's why there are certain things that she doesn't know that regular people do know, about going to space and stuff like that, because she doesn't know the world before. This is the only world she knows. So for her to be so illogical, and not even just illogical, just boneheaded, like, they just so happen to have, one of the Seraphite people get caught by 6 of the wolves. 6, all armed, and Ellie wants to storm out with, she has a single revolver. They've got 6 AR platform rifles, and I'm looking at the screen going, I can't believe y'all wrote this. But I'm assuming, the only assumption that I can make is that she's this dumb in the game.
Yeah. I would say that part was funny, because her choices, like, you know what I'm saying? It comes down to her decision making, like, run out there and risk everything to try to save somebody you don't even know, and you're stuck in this mode of trying to catch this person that also did you wrong. So it's like she's conflicted through a lot of the finale. You know what I'm saying? She's conflicted, like, even when she gets on that boat and drives across the ocean to try to find Abby, like even her decision making in that instance, like running up on those two people and like asking about Abby, like again, she goes through this whole thing of trying like this dialogue, and she ends up killing one guy, killing a pregnant lady, and it's just too much, man. You know, like even on the boat when she finally reaches the land, and there was a kid, she like gets caught by the Seraphites and the scars, and it's just like it's so much that frustrated me throughout that finale, bro. And I almost turned it off. I almost walked away but I was like, I gotta finish it for the podcast. But if it wasn't for the podcast, I would not have finished that show.
Let me tell you. Let me say, I was right there with you.
I'm so frustrated. I can't get my words out.
Like, and you know what? I wouldn't call it I guess you can call it a conflict. I call it make it make sense, because if we remember, so that's why I try to. I don't want people to misjudge my argument, because I know there are people who don't like series that are female led or that are led by someone who has an unconventional, lifestyle. They call that whatever. But what I will say is this: my issue with this show has nothing to do with that. Yeah, something you just said, it made me say in my mind, make it make sense. So she wants to save this Seraphite child with her revolver against 6 rifles, AR style rifles or shotguns. Jesse stops her from doing that. Now, they are in the process of trying to go find Tommy. She would risk her life on a suicide mission, essentially, to try to save someone she doesn't know, instead of going back to save someone that she does know, which is Tommy, who she knows is somewhere out there, and they're trying to meet with him. Jesse's already told her in the process of getting there, there have been a lot of close calls. It's been very dangerous. We need to get out of here. She did the same thing in the previous episode when they ran into the park, and the Seraphites were in the park. This is when Dina gets shot with the arrow, and this is, we pick up in episode 7, the aftermath of that. But I'm going back to this for a reason, because it speaks to this finale. When they go into that park, and the Seraphites get after them real quickly, Jesse is trying to save Dina. She knows, Ellie knows, Dina has been hit with an arrow. She's injured. They're trying their best to get back to their safe house. In the meantime, to save their lives, the Seraphites are after them.
I know exactly.
Ellie sees what they do to people in the Seraphites. She saw it with her own eyes. The first time we got a chance to see it, they string them up and then they disembowel them. She saw this with her own eyes. Instead of going to try to help Dina and make sure Dina, who she knows at that point is pregnant,
and loves her, and
is in love with her, she instead sees an opportunity to go after Abby and goes after Abby alone. So she did it then, and then in this episode, it happened again. The exact same thing happened again. Yeah. She is in a position where you have the ability to get out of here. You don't know, you just stumbled upon a war between the wolves and the Seraphite people, the Scar people. You have help here that has come and has already saved you. And you're telling me you're going to go to try to save a Seraphite child that you don't know? 1 against 6? And then when that choice is then presented again, when they hear over the radio, there's a sniper that has us pinned down, and they go up and they think it might be Tommy. She already knows in her mind, because she heard Nora talking about the wheel, and she sees the wheel. So she realizes that Abby may be at the Ferris wheel that's on the pier. Again, you have an opportunity to leave in safety, and you go off on your own. And Jesse just tells her off, and they both have this dialogue while they're up, up high, trying to get a good sight of what's going on. And he's like, I care about my community, and she wants to turn it on him and make it seem like, well, Joe's
he's selfish. It's self-centered. You only care about the people. You only care about your community. But I had a community too, and it was Joe, and yada 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 yada, blah 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 blah.
Your community was one person, and he cares about a whole community of people, and you would throw your whole life away for revenge for only a single person. And all the people that you claim to care about and love, in just the scenes right before this, you're willing to throw them away and go risk it all for something that's unknown. Here your dumb self is getting in a boat. You see them, they have 10, 20 boats all stacked up with gear. You see them going on their mission, and here you are, you end up getting in a boat. The wave comes, knocks her over. She ends up on the Seraphite Island. Now, this is crazy, because by the grace of whoever wrote this trash, they make a way for her to escape, because the wolves, their attack is launched, and they essentially let Ellie go, because they're about to string her up. They had strung her up. They're about to disembowel her. And because the alarm was sounding that their main area was under attack, they let her go. She has the opportunity. Now you've had 3 or 4 times. Again, here you are about to get strung up and disemboweled. You get in the boat, and you are going after unknown instead of getting your behind out of there. You have been in the zombie apocalypse your entire life. It makes no sense for you to be thinking like this.
Yeah.
The only thing that makes you think like this is that you are completely selfish and you're just dumb as a box of rocks. And to me, that's why it was at that point in the show where I was like, I can't believe this. Make it make sense. It makes no sense that she would go again and risking it all for nothing. She has no intelligence, hardly at all, nothing, just on a whim, a single person. And how, this is the world that you are in. How could you ever be acting this way? It makes no sense. And that's why when they got to the end, although they didn't show us what happened, I know that they're probably not going to let Ellie be killed in that last scene. But here's I was like, I hope they shot Ellie, because I'm tired of her. Yeah. Her character makes no sense. I'm sure they're going to have Dina come around the corner and, make a way for her to get out. And let me also say this. I'm sorry, I've been holding the fort for a while, but because I know you were tapped out and I was tapped out too. When Jesse when they had the confirmation, he got the confirmation from Ellie that Dina was pregnant, and he's like, I just want to get me and my kid out of here.
At that point, I knew he was dead.
Let me tell you,
I knew it.
I said she's gonna get him killed. He's not gonna survive this, and she's probably gonna be alive, and he's gonna be dead, and that's exactly what happened.
He ran out that door so quick, and he got shot so quick, bro. Like, he just and once he died, at first, when you try to get that reaction, like, oh no, I never saw it coming. Everybody watching this probably saw that coming, man.
As soon as he said that, I was like, he's dead. He's dead. It's inevitable. They're going to make him die. He's going to die for her stupidity. And that's exactly what happened, because they should not have even been in that situation.
So now, do we feel that, because, let me read something, right? This is from New York Times. By Noel Murray wrote this. The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 7. In an interview with Collider last week, The Last of Us co-showrunner Craig Mazin estimated that it would take 4 seasons for him and video games co-creator Neil Druckmann to adapt the 2 Last of Us games properly. Right? My thing is, you're thinking it's going to take 4 seasons to finish this story arc. We're in season 2. The way that this ends on a dry cliffhanger, for me, it's not enough for me to believe that you can complete a compelling story in 4 seasons. Right? I don't really care. Like, so there was a hint, right? There was a hint of something going on between the Wolves and the Seraphites, because we go back to Jeffrey Wright in a little bunk area, and we have the head of the Wolves lady come in, and she's talking to him, and they get on the topic of Abby, right? How Abby's basically going to be the predecessor, or the one who takes the reins of the Wolves if something that should happen to Isaac, and exactly. I don't know the other lady's name, right? So they're hinting at something bigger, because we see at the end of the finale, they go back to day 1, right? Where Abby gets up and walks out into the stadium, and this is whole big, massive operation. Like it's a hint of something bigger, but the way that they're writing this, even the second season, it's not warranted of enough that people should care about what this means, what this operation is doing. Like, for me, it's just not strong enough, man. And like I said last week, if the season finale doesn't pop, they're gonna have issues being renewed, and I'm just waiting to see the news of them renewing season 3, and how that's going to go. Because 7 episodes ain't gonna cut it. It's not. They got too much going on and too much to build upon for them to be cutting season short because of the budget or whatever reason why,
They'll never make it to 4 seasons. It's not going to happen. I'm with you. I have them on cancellation bubble watch. They're on a cancellation bubble for me, because although I said at the beginning of this, I feel like what's going on between the Wolves and the Seraphites is more interesting than Ellie's story, especially minus Joel. So it would be interesting to get into that, and they might be able to pull some people in season 3. It's possible. The thing that I worry about, though, is essentially they're going to come back to Seattle day 1. So this will be a reversion in time. Whenever season 3 starts, we'll be going back, and we'll be seeing what's been happening with the Wolves operation from Abby's perspective.
Right.
And that's going to give us some insight into how she found them. I mean, they were not being particularly careful. That's another reason why the show is on my nerves, because you are in a zombie apocalypse, and y'all have turned the lights on at nighttime in a movie theater, which in a whole dead city should, because every time they go in there at nighttime and the lights are on, it makes me go, shouldn't that building be very noticeable that there are lights on inside? And you would think that somebody would go, why are the lights on inside this building? And you know that the Wolves are controlling this area. So to me, they have been showing where they are and being really dumb about it, because they have all of the lights on inside the building, and that makes it very obvious that somebody's in there.
Right. And that's probably how Abby found them.
Exactly. They're going to show us exactly how Abby found them so easily, which is going to be because they've been being sloppy. Even though the building is boarded up, that's why if you pay attention to the details, when they got into the building, there's definitely openings in the building. So if there's lights on at nighttime, it's going to be lit up like a Christmas tree in a completely dark city, right?
Right.
I mean,
man, I feel like once again they killed one of their strongest characters, because for me, Jesse was a strong character. We didn't see a lot of him, but from what we did see of him, he's a very strong character. They got rid of him.
He would have been the future leader of Jackson Hole.
Right.
And he's dead because of Ellie's foolishness. I mean, yeah.
Oh Lord.
It's really telling when you get to the end of the show and you're left on a cliffhanger where your main character could possibly be about to get killed, and people are thinking, "Good, finally."
Right. You're out of here.
Thank you. That's how I felt. At the end of this, I was like, man, I hope they shot her, and I hope she dies, and I hope we get to see what's going on with the wolves and the other group. Excuse me, because this story is just dumb. And I mean, we already knew the wolves were bigger than what we thought. That when they show you that Seattle Day 1, you get to see they are very organized.
Yeah. Oh, they got it together.
Yeah.
And it's dope to see. I feel like we are going to see more of Jeffrey Wright, especially in season 3. See what he has going on. So, I don't know.
And if you remember, I said in the last episode, and I stand by it, he could save the show. If they minimize Ellie and give us more of him and what they're doing, I might be compelled to watch it, and that may be the avenue to getting to 4 seasons.
Right.
But if we go back to this Ellie making dumb decisions and just being generally stupid and nonsensical, we won't be reviewing this show next season if that's the case. Because you should not feel like watching something is a chore.
Yeah.
That's when there's no more enjoyment in it. And I try not to be jaded and come at this with a open mind. Because I think when Jeffrey Wright came on screen, I thought that was an opportunity in that season, that episode 4, that really to turn the show around, especially after Joel was gone, and
sure,
it hadn't happened thus far.
All right, man. I dropped. I think I was at a 6. I think I was at a 6 for our rating. My rating. I think I was at a 5 or 6.
Oh, you were at a 3.5, sir.
I was at a 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember. Well,
because if you remember, you were still in the 3s, and because of Jeffrey Wright, I raised mine from like 3.5 to 4.5, and I'm back down in the 3s because.
Yeah. I was at 3.5. I'm still there, man. I'm not going. It's not like the worst show I've ever seen, but it is a show that I'm thoroughly disappointed in because I feel like it had a lot more potential. With all the stuff that it could have been, it wasn't it.
Yeah, and it's mainly because of the choices, and I can, like I said before, if it's the source material, it's the source material. But this is one of the times where if your IP has a weakness, you have an opportunity to maybe rewrite something. May piss some people off. It happens with books all the time. Every adaptation from a book that ends up being a movie or a TV show, somebody's going to be pissed if it's not, completely true. But if there's a weakness, why recreate the weakness in what you're doing?
Yeah,
because it doesn't help anything. I mean, for her to be trying to save Dina and then kill this pregnant woman, that was such a low point for me. I was like,
they're saying that this is because of they wanted to show how far Ellie has fallen from her initial character arc. You know, she was just this. She was a girl that was kind of like quick witted and all of that, kind of like happy go lucky type of girl. But now after Joel, she's further declining into like this mad state and this aggressive state of behavior, you know. And I get it, but on screen, it comes off as a little disingenuous for me. Like it doesn't really feel authentic to the way she's been. Her character arc, it feels like her character arc is fighting against itself. You know what I'm saying? Like the further she goes, it's like that's why I said it's conflicting, because as she's going through these stories, her actions keep contradicting like where she is in the story, and I don't like that. I don't like it.
You said it right. It doesn't feel real. It feels forced. It feels like the writers are putting her in these situations, and making her do dumb things that nobody would do. Especially somebody who spent their whole life in the zombie apocalypse. It feels insulting. Let me say that. As an audience member, it feels insulting because the character does not have to be this way. I get they're trying to show how far she has fallen. I get that. But for you to, it's the same thing as plot armor, okay? But instead of it being armor, it's giving this single character so many illogical faults and bad decision making that it seems like it's just a device, it's a plot device to keep this show going. So it's almost as if they didn't have a good enough story to keep it going based on the merits of the story. So the only way to make it keep going is to take this one character and make her do the most dumb and illogical and asinine, nonsensical stuff. And then now she has to deal with the consequences. But as an audience member, you're thinking to yourself, now what?
Yeah.
She's got 6 bullets in a revolver, and she wants to come out from her hiding spot and take on 6 AR style rifle. I mean, really? I mean, you want us to like swallow that and think that was realistic? It's so stupid on its face. When she was trying to come from behind that dumpster, I was like, y'all got to be kidding me. You have to be kidding me. And then she's trying to lecture Jesse. That was a kid. Didn't you just see those people disembowel somebody in the last episode? And you got away? And now you're acting like that never happened. It's tough. Good luck to y'all.
Good luck to y'all.
Yeah, 4 seasons. I don't see 4 seasons happening. Maybe 3.
Good luck to y'all. All right, man. That's enough for that.
Exactly.
That was the last.
Close that book. Close that chapter.
Sure.
Before we get to Final Destination Bloodlines, there was a little bit of news that happened in cinema as it pertains to a streaming series on Prime Video. It's called The Wheel of Time. They just finished their 3rd season, and it kind of it dovetails right, off of this whole discussion about The Last of Us. The show is actually good. It's based on books. This one is based on books by Robert Jordan is the author. It's a huge book series. I have not had a chance to read the books. There's 14 books, and that's why I have not had a chance to read them, because that's a lot of books. But unfortunately, we just heard this week that Prime is canceling that particular show, and so we won't be able to see what happens next. And I wanted to ask you, in this age of streaming, when people get really involved into shows, What do you think about, when Netflix or Prime Video or, one of the streaming services decides to just cancel the show mid-show, no closure, you just have to deal with it?
Yeah, I always wonder about that. Like, what metric are they using to determine if this show is successful or not, or if it can like maintain longevity? Because we're talking about with The Last of Us, man, like the appeal just isn't there because of the strength of the story. But it does feel like a big hole is like upon you when you watching something, you get engulfed in the story, and it just drops off. Like I don't like that. I'm trying to think of a show that I watch, and Lovecraft Country.
Oh my God!
Remember Lovecraft Country? Like we talked about. I think we talked about that.
Getting canceled right in the middle. Another one right in that same vein is it also was with Regina King. It was the with Dr. The blue guy. What is his name?
Watchmen.
The Watchmen.
Yeah.
That one was an excellent show.
It was.
We get canceled. We never get to see what happens next.
Right.
I think that one has Underground. The Shield.
Yeah.
The Shield got canceled. I was really into that. Was before streaming. That was on regular cable and TV. But the Shield was one that got canceled mid show.
So you feel like a show grabs an audience, because you watch it and other people find it just as appealing and just as engaging, and then it just stops, it cancels. And I wonder what the metric is. Like, I need to know, because if you see a group of people, like a large group of people talking about a show and it has a cult following, how do you determine, okay, even though it has this following, it's not successful enough for it to, for us to continue? And it does feel like something is taken away from you, because you walk away with unanswered questions.
Exactly.
It's like I'm involved in this story and I want to see it play out. How does it play out? And sometimes you don't get those answers, and you just gotta be okay with that as a fan, or hope they'll bring it back in other ways.
Or maybe another streamer will pick it up. That has happened with a few shows. There was enough outcry that people organized, and they felt like there was enough to take it to another platform, or it gets shopped around and moved. So I'm hoping that's the case with the Wheel of Time. At this point, I'm gonna have to read the books. Because there are books, I can get the end of the story, and it includes fantasy and sci-fi, so I love that kind of stuff, and I'm gonna have to finish it that way. I was totally disappointed, but yeah, you're right. You feel a little bit cheated and robbed, and you wonder who makes the final decision. But it's about money. We know that they feel like they're not getting the numbers that they need. But if you were watching Wheel of Time, tell me what you thought. I know there was a lot of controversy on this show with Prime, just like Rings of Power as well. These are both based on books, and the book readers are purists for the most part. They want to see on the screen exactly what was in the book. Than anybody who knows anything about this stuff, it's almost impossible. The amount of detail that books allow you to create. It's almost impossible to put everything on the screen. There's going to be some things you have to change, and some things you have to figure out a different way to translate to the screen. So there was controversy there, but I mean, when it comes to social media, it doesn't matter whether people don't like it or like it. If they're talking about it, if they're commenting about it, you got engagement, you got eyes. So a lot of these people will say they hate stuff, but they still watching.
Yeah.
They are still watching, so we shall see. I hope another streamer picks it up, because it was a really good show to me. Plagued by violent and recurring nightmare, a college student heads home to track down the one person who might be able to break the cycle of death and save her family from the grisly demise that inevitably waits them all. Final Destination Bloodlines is a 2025 American supernatural horror film directed by Zach Lepovsky and Adam Stein and written by Guy Busick and Laurie Evans Taylor, based on a story developed by them and John Watts. It is the sixth installment in the Final Destination film series, following Final Destination 5 from 2011. The film stars Caitlin Santajuana as a college student who inherits visions of a previous premonition that averted a deadly structural failure in 1968 from her dying grandmother and is warned that death is coming for her family.
Man. Great job, man.
Thank you.
So, I like this, man. I like Final Destination. Just like Jurassic type of realm, does no wrong, man. They got a formula and they follow it, and they do it so well. Like you walk into Final Destination paranoid, you leave out paranoid. Like it's the perfect type of story, man.
Definitely some paranoia.
Yo, I remember the first time I seen them. The first Final Destination. I did not want to get on airplanes, man. I had a phobia about the airplanes. I was like, man, the cars, like driving behind. I think was it driving behind like the logs, the big log trucks, like that type of thing. No way. I have serious like paranoia about that type of stuff. But,
I think that was Final Destination. The one with the logs, I think, was either Final Destination 2 or 3. The plane crash was the first one.
The first one, yeah.
Because the girl has a premonition and she gets off the plane with her group of friends, and then they, all die in other different various ways. Let me tell you, death is he petty.
Yeah.
He vindictive. He don't let it go. He has a grudge.
Yo, funny stuff, man. So we following this girl, Stephanie Lewis, I'm thinking, right? That's her name, Stephanie Lewis. And she has this dream about her grandmother, Iris Campbell. Or is it Iris or Isis or something like that? But she had the premonition about her grandmother, and she just goes on the search to find her and get these questions answered about why she's having it, what connection did she have to death, and all of this stuff. And it was just a fun film. You kind of know where these movies going, because like I said, you got a specific formula, but just seeing how you get there, it's always fun. I like the fact that they made death a little bit more not humanized, but like he was just more intentional about, like when she gets to that cabin, and it's like there's certain things are like happening, like the fire extinguisher, and how the mirror moves. Like it's just a little bit more comical, a little bit in your face in this movie. And it was just dope, man. I like the practical effects, like the explosions, the blood and the gore was great. Like it was a great movie, man.
Let me tell you, I know what I'm expecting. I know it's coming. I'm watching it. I know it's going to happen. They get me every time. I was in the movie, and everyone's reacting the same way. I felt like people were laughing at me because I'm like,
yeah.
Every time something happens, I'm like, but I thought it was so funny because I know it's coming.
Yeah.
But they try a creative way to get you there each time. Yeah. Now the whole Skyview place, that scene was crazy.
It was shot really well. even
It
because
was.
it made you feel like it was so big. Of course, I don't think they shot that high up in the sky, but it just
Mhm.
feels like that. You know, it
Mm.
the design of the design of the place was great. Uh even like the little kid that was on there, he was an asshole, but he did so well even in the short amount of time. The little kid reminds me of like a Bart Simpson, you know, Dennis
Yeah.
the Menace type of kid. And
Mhm.
it's funny because when everything start happening and you think the kid is gonna get away and he actually does it and that thing just falls on him, like people in the theaters like it's like, yes, you know what I'm saying? Just because
Right, because he was a catalyst.
I was like, that's terrible, man. How you want a kid to die? But everybody was so happy, man. And that's how you know the writing is just so solid, man. Even in stuff like this was so gruesome, it's like the way they set it up makes it tolerable, you know, and it makes it just enjoyable, man. And I love that about this franchise, man. It's one of those franchises that could keep going like uh like Fast and the Furious and like Halloween. Yo, it's great, man. It's,
Yeah, because it's not based on a single character. You get new characters every time,
yeah,
and you know, well, the one character that keeps coming back is Death.
it's that right. Yeah,
So maybe the father, they decided to bring him back from this one, since all his family was wiped out. Maybe he'll want some revenge. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I have a story about Final Destination. I think it was 3 was the one with the logs. I was in college at that point,
okay.
and I had a car accident on my way back to school. I was going on Highway 6 in Texas, and I don't know if I lost control, I had a blowout, or fell asleep. I don't know, but I lost control of the vehicle and uh, flipped over my truck. I had a red pickup truck, and that truck flipped from the left side of the road across the road to the right side of the road, and then it came to rest in the ravine right to the side of the highway on Highway 6 in Texas. Navasota, Texas. I was right around there. I will never forget. And this has been probably 20. Oh my gosh, this has been over 20 years ago. Um, I remember the feeling of losing control. I remember the feeling of my vehicle flipping over. When I tell you it feels like slow motion, it feels like a Final Destination thing.
Yeah,
I remember when the cab of my truck hit the ground and all the glasses, in the vehicle exploded, and dirt from the ground. Because when it hit, and in the dirt, it picks up dirt. I remember getting like little bits of glass and dirt in my mouth
yeah.
from the truck flipping over. I remember all of that, like to a T. It and when my dad after the accident, my dad came and he got me and he brought me on to college. That he drove me on and stayed in my dorm room. Um, Actually, at that time I didn't have a dorm; I had an apartment.
Mhm.
And then he drove back the next day. When I visited home again, I went to my cousin's house. He and his wife had bought a new house. My cousin D, and I went to their house because they were having a family get together, and Final Destination 3 was on the TV.
Wow.
And when I tell you, I was on the couch, literally white knuckle as a black man.
Right.
I mean, holding on to the couch because if you remember the log scene from that
Mhm.
movie, it's a car crash scene where
Yeah.
all, these logs are hitting people and cars are crashing and flipping. And when I tell you, I was back in my truck, I was on my cousin's couch, but in
Yeah.
my head, I was
Yeah.
back in that truck flipping,
Flipping over.
glass breaking around me, grass getting in
Wow.
my mouth. I was back there. I was, man, I think that's one of the few times in my life where I really just kind of freaked out.
I'm
So I
sure.
was able to hold it together, but man, that was crazy.
Wow.
And I was blessed because the only glass in the truck that did not shatter and break was my driver's side window. Every other glass, the front, the passenger side, rear, all were shattered and gone.
That's
And
crazy.
the 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 part of the car that was still, the truck was still intact, was where I was sitting. And I had been going back and forth to school with friends because I didn't have a car. And I had gotten that truck. I'd had that truck for maybe a year or 6 months or what have you. And I frequently, when I went, college kids ride together. It makes sense if you're from the same city.
Yeah.
So normally I would have somebody in the passenger seat, but that door frame was so badly damaged that it was sheared at the top, and it was like bent in towards the vehicle. It was like this jagged, sharp thing pointing inside the vehicle. If somebody had been there, they would have been killed, Final Destination style, for real.
Wow.
Um, I will never forget that. And then craziest thing, one of my high school classmates just so happened to be on the highway. I did not know, and he was one of the people who helped me get out of my vehicle because I wanted to go out the passenger side because initially I couldn't get my driver door open. But that jagged metal thing, I was like, I don't want to mess with that. And they were able to finally get my door open. And it was somebody I went to school with. So it was really like a deja vu moment. It's my own
Yeah.
personal final destination. Thank God death has not tried to get me. Um, since
Wow.
then, because I survived by the grace of God. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's my final destination story. I was sitting on my cousin's couch after that accident, reliving that moment. I mean, I could feel the grass and the glass around me. It was crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. Wow, man. Well, they say art imitates life, man.
This is true.
That's tough.
Yep.
So I have a story, real quick. Uh, when I was younger, I stayed in Pensacola, Florida, with my grandmother, and my aunt and uncle, they lived in Panama City. So I used to stay in the house a little bit by myself, and so they was like, "Yo, come on, you're gonna take the boys, go to Panama City Beach, right?" So we was gonna go to Panama City Beach, but I guess they took a detour. I was like, oh, it's too far. We're gonna go to this other spot. Y'all can splash around there, whatever, do y'all think. So it's me and my three cousins, right? And we're in the water, we splashing around, we playing, we like 8, 9 years old, maybe a little bit older. But one of my cousins go missing. We in the water, one of my cousins go missing. So we looking around and we like, yo, where's Brian? My cousin named Brian, and we just hear gurgling and like he's like trying to like scream, but like how you try to scream in like water, like he's like choke on something, right? So we hear
Yeah.
that and
Yeah.
we're looking around, where's Brian, right? And we look over, I see my cousin's like head like dipping under the water. He's like reaching up, like saying help, 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 right? True story. So me, I'm thinking I'm a lifeguard, right? I try to run and try to save him, right? I jump like I'm running, and as I'm running, it feels like something just like grabs my foot, like yanks me under the water, man. And
Oh
now I
wow.
can't breathe. Now I can't breathe. I'm struggling. I'm like I can't see nothing, and it goes black, and I wake up, and it's this white guy over me, kind of like like looking like pressing on me. You know what I'm saying? And I like wake up. And I'm like, what happened? Right? Like y'all, you and your cousin Brian almost drowned, and this guy saved y'all, right? So, like real quick, my uncle told me he tried to get in and tried to save us, but it wasn't like he like almost got took it under the water, but he could like kind of get back to the shore or whatever. And we looked around for this guy, we could never find him, man. It was like he came and got us out of that water and like vanished, man. And yeah, that's like a story. Yeah,
he might have been angry.
Yeah,
He might have been angry. You never know. It's a lot of stories like that where people feel like an angel saved them. That's an amazing story. I'm thankful y'all survived.
Yeah, man, it was rough. Yeah, that's a true story, man. They say art imitates life, man, and I got a video of something that happened. It's titled "Brick Display Collapses on Crowd After Balloon Drop Goes Wrong at New Year's Eve Arcade Party." New Year's Eve Arcade Party. Did y'all see that?
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, man. They say art imitates life, man. And imagine you at a New Year's Eve party, about to watch your balloons drop, and something just crashed on your head, man, out of nowhere. Like, I don't know if anybody died, but it's possible, you know. Like, crazy stuff happens all the time, man. We're grateful every day.
Exactly. Like you were saying, that feeling after you watch a Final Destination movie, because when I went earlier today and I saw the movie. Then I was driving home afterwards, and man, I was like, first of all, I saw the freeway was really backed up, so there was a freaking accident on the freeway. There was a 18-wheeler jackknife, and then there was two cars that had also been hit. I don't know how it all happened, but man, I was like, let me make sure I have my seatbelt on. Then I thought about the seatbelt scene, and I was like, well, yeah. Oh no!
How can I save my own life? What can I do? What can I do? Let me ask you this, man.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. After your accident, how long did it take you for you to feel comfortable driving again? You know, to where, I don't know if it's still there sometimes or what, but like, how long did it take for you to feel a little normal driving again?
It took a while.
Yeah.
It took a while. Every time I got in the vehicle, I thought about that. And I mean, the other side of this is after that truck got totaled out, I didn't have my own vehicle for a while, so I, wasn't driving. Yeah. If I was going somewhere, so I was in college at the time, I was riding with somebody else because I didn't have a vehicle to replace it for quite some time. But yeah, the times that I had to drive after it probably was maybe 6 months to a year that I would still have that feeling of just, I don't want to call it impending doom, but it's that eerie feeling. Yeah. It's kind of the Final Destination feeling when the wind blows and the wind chimes go. I have a set of wind chimes on my back porch. I might get rid of them.
Yeah. But it's kind of
they were in every scene of this movie. Yeah. Every time something bad happens,
the wind blows.
You hear that wind chimes, and I was like, "All right, now, Death, I need you get out of my backyard."
Yeah, man. It's like when you like break an arm or break a leg, it takes you a while to feel like I won't walk on it and I won't break it again. You know, like for some reason you have that in the back of your mind, like, man, if I walk too hard, I could break it. Or, you know, like it's the same way, like that same thing. Like once you escape death, you know, it's kind of like I'm on pins and needles, like everywhere I go. Yeah, but Bloodlines, man, dope film. Tony Todd, rest in peace, man. He died shortly after this film. So
and
yeah,
man, he's one of the I don't know if you call them the Godfathers, but definitely one of the greats in the horror genre, and few black in the horror genre, because there aren't that many, you know, black actors that works, you know, specifically in that genre. And that has been his theme, you know, his whole career for the most part, because he was Candyman.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah.
So what would you rate this film?
I enjoyed it. I would say it was probably a good 7.5.
Okay, yeah, I was at 8. I was at 8. Yeah.
You know, yeah, we'd be right there together.
Yeah. I really don't do the 0.5s unless it's like really close, but you more detailed, which is fine, you know. So yeah, we really pretty close on that type of stuff. It was a
Let me
good
ask
film.
you this. What did you think about the coin? I thought the coin was a cool device.
It
the
was.
penny.
Yeah. I thought it was clever. It just one of those, like you said, a device that illustrates how death manipulates certain things. They did have the call back to the logs at the very end, where you think the two characters are going to get away, the brother Charlie and Stephanie. You think they're going to get away, and then they have the logs come back and finish the job to kind of close the chapter, which was phenomenal. It's a great tie-up.
That was actually the second callback in this movie on the logs.
It's the second
because
one?
if you remember when, after everybody but the two brother and sisters, their mom, when they got into the RV to leave the hospital, going to the grandmother's house, the mother was driving, and she was about to drive, and an 18-wheeler.
Yeah, right.
That was a log truck.
Yeah, and then she said, "You drive." Yeah, right.
Exactly. Yeah. That was a log truck.
So they called back foreshadowing. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Oh, good job, man. I love it. Yeah, I love it, man.
You know, let me tell you something. It's something about a movie that knows its audience. Mm-hmm. It doesn't pretend to be something that it's not, and it delivers on what it promises. It may be something that is a final destination that some people would never watch, but at the same time, when you watch it, you get what you came for.
Yeah, for sure. Very dope franchise. Final Destination is an American horror franchise that includes 6 films, 10 novels, and 2 comic books. So
I didn't know that part.
You got a good following.
The novels and the comic books. Good to know.
All right, y'all. That's it for another one, man. We did good. We back on track, brother. This is our 4th one. We back on track. I'm feeling good, feeling great. How are you?
Man, I'm feeling awesome. I love that we are back on it. And if you all have just recently found our podcast, go back. We have quite a few episodes in the bank. You can go find them on Spotify, on Audible. You can find them even on iTunes as well. So all those you can go back. Lots of great movies to review. And if there's any suggestions, please leave a comment so that we can highlight it and interact with you.
Yes, sir, man. If y'all have any suggestions, put them in the comments. We'll be sure to check it out. You have a light that is out of this world. Let it shine to be the richness that this world deserves. Much love, family. Be rich.